call on the Taoiseach.
Ireland was recently elected to serve as a member of the United Nations Human Rights Council for a period of 3 years, which began in January 2013. We have long championed the vital role of the United Nations in the promotion and protection of human rights, and we will continue to do so as a member of the Human Rights Council. I am aware of the case of the individual raised by Deputy Daly, which is being monitored by officials from my department. The British authorities have confirmed that he was released under licence in 1992. The Secretary of State for Northern Ireland revoked that licence in April 2010, and the individual has, as a result, been in custody for the past 2 years and 9 months. I understand that an appeal in relation to the case will be heard by the Supreme Court in Belfast in February. As the case is the subject of an ongoing legal process, it would be inappropriate to comment further at this time.
Deputy Clare Daly.
Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. And I have to say I don't really accept the Taoiseach's response. You are aware that a cross-party delegation of TDs and senators visited Martin Corry and others in Maghaberry prior to Christmas. And I have to say what we encountered was a man who was in a very difficult situation, being incarcerated, but being incarcerated without either him or his legal team being privy to the reasons why he was incarcerated is an incredibly difficult position for anybody to be in. It's a position which is clearly a breach of somebody's human rights as laid down by the European Convention, where people have a right to liberty, subject only to lawful arrest and detention, where they have the right to be informed of the charges against them, and quite clearly in this case that is not the case. Martin Corry's case and his arrest was deemed to be unlawful, but that situation was overruled by the Secretary of State. So I'm asking again, is the Taoiseach going to use his new offices on the Human Rights Council to bring this issue to the forefront of these discussions? Because if you aren't, to be honest, what's the point in being on it if we can't advance human rights issues in relation to our citizens?
Well, first of all, I think we do need to be clear here that this man's case is due to be heard by the Supreme Court in Belfast very shortly, and it's not appropriate, I think, that we would have a public discussion of the merits or otherwise of that case in advance of it being heard. I am, of course, very much aware of the cases of a number of prisoners in Northern Ireland. These have been the subject of discussions already between me, the current Secretary of State, and her predecessor, and they will be the subject of discussions between us again. In relation to the UN Human Rights Council, that's an intergovernmental body which is responsible for strengthening the promotion and protection of human rights and for addressing situations of human rights violations. There are circumstances where individuals can make complaints through the mechanism of the Council, but in all of these cases, individuals are expected to exhaust the appropriate domestic remedies that are available to them before doing so.
Deputy Daly.
Briefly, Ceann Comhairle, I think the Taoiseach is quite correct that the case is due to be heard, but we should be very clear that that case is being heard when this man has been almost incarcerated for almost 3 years now. The courts have already heard his case and decided that there wasn't a basis for his original arrest, and that was then subsequently overruled on the grounds of closed evidence. And I'd like to ask the Taoiseach again that, given, as he correctly says, this scenario affects a number of prisoners in similar situations, that the whole basis and idea of closed evidence, where somebody doesn't know and their legal team doesn't know the basis on which they're being incarcerated, is absolutely reprehensible. And I would ask you, on behalf of the delegation that made the visit to the North, you had indicated previously that you would meet us in relation to a feedback from that visit, particularly with regard to the circumstances of Marian Price, who we also met and whose actual incarceration is somewhat similar to Martin Corry's. So I would ask that, I know it was difficult for logistical reasons before Christmas, we didn't have that meeting, but if we could have that at the earliest convenience to discuss the issues that flowed from that visit.